Hello, everyone. It's Royce here, and I want to welcome you all to my Royce in the House YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got next to me, let me point the right direction. It's kind of difficult at times. Okay. Chris Elliott co-hosting tonight, and directly below
Hello,
both
everybody.
of us, we have Sir James Bowie, Sinatra, Lenny White Lennon.
Good evening,
Did,
folks.
did I miss anything there?
No, you got everything right.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's a
We're good. We're
miracle.
good.
The longest name I've ever seen. Okay, so tonight, what we're going to be talking about is amazing stories behind famous rock songs. Okay, the backstories. Where did this song come from? What is it all about? And I've been surprised as I've been studying this how many of these songs, boy, I need to learn to turn that stuff off. How many of these songs I had a completely different concept of where they came from. Let me give you an example. Okay, we'll start out. The first one I'm going to bring up is by the Beatles, and it's off the Help album. It is called, Ticket to Ride. She's got a ticket to ride. I remember that song. I must have been like, 13 years old or something. But you know what? What people don't know
Hey, Dr. Rick.
is Ticket to Ride. They weren't talking about trains, okay? According to John Lennon, the ticket mentioned in the tune refers to health cards carried by Hamburg, Germany's prostitutes. They were doing
Oh,
they did
I
a
never knew that.
residency at they did a residency at Hamburg, Germany before they were even known, like in 62. And Little Richard was there. Little Richard helped them out a lot, and takes a little bit of credit for introducing him to the world. So the ticket is a health certificate for prostitutes in Hamburg, Germany, that says they're clean. They have a clean bill of health, absence of any sexually transmitted diseases. So if your girlfriend happens to be going away and you miss her dearly, what you don't want to sing to her is Ticket to Ride. That is not the song you're looking for. Okay, so hey, Chris, you've got some Led Zeppelin stories. Would you like to go through one of those right now?
Um, yeah, the song 10 Years Gone
Yeah.
from Physical Graffiti.
Okay.
The story behind that one is when Robert Plant was 16 years old and first getting ready to venture out into the world of rock and roll, he had a girlfriend who kept telling him, "Don't go. If you go, I won't be here. You're not going to make it anyway. Stay here with me." And
Yeah.
then 10 years later, 10 years gone, holding on. That was just, I didn't know that. At first, I thought it was something different.
Yeah, no, and I had seen that before too, that story. That's a cool story. How about you, Sir James? Any backstories to tell tonight on any songs?
Well, yeah, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh, go for it, buddy.
Well, John was at home and he was still writing for Sergeant Pepper. They were still in the midst of writing songs. And
Okay.
his son Julian came home from school and he drew a picture of his friend Lucy from school. I forget her last name.
Yeah, no.
And so he looked at it and said, "Oh, what's this called? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds." And so he had the idea to write it. But then everybody, when it came out, they wanted to ban it from the radio stations
Right,
because it
right.
spelled out LSD, but had nothing to do with any drug references.
Well, you know what? I for me the verdict's still out on that one. Okay, I know that story. I know that story. And last thing John Lennon wanted was to be accused of encouraging drug use. I mean, he was a counterculture spokesman, one of the big ones. And if he was saying LSD is a great thing, I mean, there's going to be people taking it that may not have taken it otherwise. And so he didn't want to get have that kind of a label. Now, yes, that story did take place with the drawing that the son brought home, had the stars in the sky and the whole thing, but just between us, I really think it was about LSD, regardless of what.
But if you listen carefully to the lyrics, there's a lot of Alice in Wonderland references in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Awesome story, man. I love that one. Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze, okay, was inspired by a stalking waitress who kidnapped a cafe patron. Now,
Ooh.
now, is that crazy or what? I'd never heard that story before. So, although most people are right to assume that Jimi Hendrix's iconic track had to do with, again, LSD, right after your story, the tune has a rather interesting background. Jimmy was inspired by a strange newspaper story about a waitress who was so obsessed with one of her regular customers to the cafe that she worked in that she slipped some LSD in his drink, in his coffee mug. She put LSD in his coffee mug. How do you like that?
Oh.
Especially if you've never experienced anything like that before. Um, and so anyway, and then she afterwards he was just out of it. She led him to her apartment where she held him in captivity for days. Okay. And Hendrix decided to focus on the unfortunate man using music to tell the story. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's the story of Purple Haze.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean I think that's pretty crazy. How about Pink Floyd's "Shine On You Crazy Diamond"? Okay, it was dedicated to Sid Barrett, the original singer, lead main singer for the band,
Hi, Melissa.
who went who
Melissa.
went absolutely mad before the song was even written. However, on the day the track was being laid down at Abbey Road Studios, Sid just appeared out of the blue, and initially he wasn't even recognized by the rest of the band. I mean, this was their lead singer. They didn't even recognize him because he had deteriorated in every single way possible, and it really had a permanent impact going forward on the entire rest of the group. It was just shocking to see him that way. But as the four-piece described it, one of the strange things Barrett did was trying to brush his teeth by holding his arm still and jumping up and down. Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh my God is right. I mean, that just holy shit. Okay.
Wow.
Especially. So anyway, the singer would mix drugs with gel and pour it on his head, like hair gel when he
Yeah.
went on the stage, and then the hot lights would melt it, and it would be closer to his brain, so it didn't have a long ways to travel. Okay, so acid through his hair gel, the singer would mix it in his gel, pour it on his head prior to hitting the stage, like I said, and it would melt, giving the substance direct access to his brain. So
Mm.
I think that is crazy. I mean, it's little wonder he went completely stark raving nuts. I mean, it reminds me of an old saying me and my friends used to use just for fun. Okay, I'm not saying we were like druggies or anything, but it was like LSD got the best of me. a little rhyme there. So anyway, another Led Zeppelin story there, Chris.
The story behind the song "Out on the Tiles," or at least the title of it.
Sure. Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, while they were recording it, Bonzo being Bonzo, he got all drunk and stoned and everything. And just as they were finishing up the track, he passed out on the floor. He was out on the tiles. And that's
Is
what
that
they ended
right?
up naming the song over.
Oh my God. Well, that's like so damn typical for him. I did a show. Oh, it was months ago, but it was let's see, the lead guitar player for Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi. Okay, Tony Iommi was getting married, and they all grew up in the same area. John Bonham and Robert Plant and the whole Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath band. I mean, and
The whole
so
Birmingham area.
yeah, Birmingham area. You're right, and Tony Iommi and John Bonham were tight friends. In fact, Tony Iommi had John Bonham be the best man at his wedding. And so I did a video.
Wow.
I did a video about that. And the two of them went out. It was stag night. They were going to party the night before the wedding. And what happened is John Bonham, they walked into the last place that was getting ready to close, and he asked them to put 12 champagne bottles up on the bar. And Iommi goes, I can't drink all that. I'm getting married tomorrow. And Bonham wound up drinking all 12 bottles of champagne. And so, of course, Iommi had to help him home, and his wife could see him outside the gate, and he could see how drunk he was. And they were saying, let us in, let us in. He was trying to take him in there and put him in his bedroom. And she's going, you're not coming in. He's stinking drunk. You're not coming in. After pleading, they finally let him in, and he got him in there and leaned him up against the heater and goes, "Are you going to be all right, man?" And Bonham goes, and that was all he could do. And so he was shocked to see 6:30 the next morning. Bonham shows up in his suit with his corsage and some flowers, and like he hadn't even partied the night before. I thought that
I've heard that story before.
it's actually a fun story. So anyway, we were gonna let's see. Let me check in with the chat here. Led Zeppelin Black Dog. A black dog just wandered through the room while they were recording this. James, that's awesome. Hi, Melissa. Love your channel. Yeah, Melissa, Boomer of the Night. How are you doing? Eric Schultz. That's okay. We'll see you another time. Watson, lucky it wasn't an orange cat. No kidding.
Nice to see you again, Melissa.
It wouldn't be the same named orange cat, would it?
Yeah.
Really.
Okay. Oberheim from Australia. Deadlock Holiday, 10cc. Apparently Graham Goldman. Holiday
Hey, Kate.
Living a Conversation. Yeah, Melissa. How you doing, Melissa? Melissa, everybody, I want everyone to know that Melissa, Boomer of the Night, has a great channel. It's Melissa, Boomer of the Night. But she's got some amazing deep dive stories on there. Gets into some real depth on some of our favorite rock stars. So check her out. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Cricket, the guy said, "No, we don't like cricket. I love it." Eric Schultz, can you imagine the amount of burping and gassed after 12 balls? No, I could imagine never waking up. Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Terrible, Eric. Oh my God. If you haven't seen that video, folks, go check it out. It just says, it's just Tony Iommi's Stag Night with best man John Bonham. Happy Friday. I hope I didn't say Jason Bonham earlier. I've been reading some really good Jason Bonham stories lately. Dr. Rick, how you doing, brother? Gary Spring, hello, Royce and all. Got Melissa, Boomer of the Night. I gave all of your channel shout-outs today in my music update. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Always give you a shout-out. Caitlin Stoddard. Hi, Dr. Rick. Hey, our own Caitlin Stoddard.
Yes.
How you doing? Caitlin and I go back, at least probably 4 years, close to 4 years anyway. And so we've been on other shows before where we all hung out. Chris Elliott. Okay, Melissa, thank you so very much. Oh, always, Melissa. Always. Okay, let's we're going to get back to business here. Royce told the story well. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate hearing that. I have a lot of respect for your opinion, believe me. Melissa. Okay, guys. We might miss a few going forward because we're going to be talking here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next one I want to talk about, and I think I might have told this story before, but this is Iron Butterfly and the song In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. And basically what happened, the short version is, okay, first of all, this may be the very first heavy metal riff in history, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. And I absolutely love that song. And, those guys were out in the late 60s, at least by 67, maybe 66, okay? And I remember being a big fan, and I have 2 copies of that yellow album cover that says, I think it says Ball on it, and then I have In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, then I have a live album, and I got 4 Iron Butterfly albums. I really, really liked Iron Butterfly. They are a great band, okay? So anyway, Doug Ingalls, Drunken Rehearsal, member of the band, came in, and he can't say the title right. The title was In the Garden of Eden. And he slurred out, "Oh, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida." And the other bands, the other guys just loved it. And they changed the name from In the Garden of Eden to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida because of his drunken, slurred speech.
That's pretty cool.
I love that story, Then you've got Leonard Cohen's Chelsea Hotel number 2. And this is kind of an interesting story. It's about Leonard Cohen. I'm trying not to be X-rated here, but getting head from Janis Joplin. Okay. So what happened was in his 1974 track, Chelsea Hotel number 2, it pays tribute to the musician's romantic encounter with the late, great Janis Joplin, okay, in New York City's Hotel Chelsea brothel. The lyrics, giving me head on the unmade bed while the limousine waits in the street. I can remember you well in the Chelsea Hotel. You were famous. Your heart was a legend. Suggests ever so blatantly just exactly what went on. You think? Okay. So anyway, he got a little mean after that. I can't keep track of all the fallen robins. I remember you well in the Chelsea Hotel. That's all. I don't think of you often.
Hey, Kate.
Flattery will get you everywhere, buddy. So anyway, let's see. Let me grab a couple of these chat messages. I want to keep everybody involved. How are you, James, buddy? Dang,
I'm
James,
good.
you're a popular man, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see. My favorite Kiss story was the one time Gene's was concerned with money. Really? Gene's ever been concerned with money? I know he's got a lot of it now. I think I Googled his net worth one time and it was around 450, 500 million. But now they've sold off their library for another 4 or 500 million that's being divided up. So, wow. And he's still got little projects. I've seen some things where he's doing this over here and doing that over there. And
Doesn't he still have a couple of TV programs he's working with?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't get a lot of channels. You might be absolutely right. It's only one time. Rest in peace, Doug Engel. Yeah, totally. Awesome co-host. Kate, are you bragging again? Kate's always bragging about her co-host. Jim Morrison, breaking on through. Okay. And Melissa Boomer of the Night. This is a great stream because I love these backstories, Melissa. I'm exactly the same way. In fact, the next one is about Bob Marley's I Shot the Sheriff. Now, who didn't think that was about, every time I plant a seed, the sheriff makes me, take it out. We're all thinking weed, right? I mean, I've been to Jamaica. My God. Everywhere I went, people were shoving bags of weed in my face if they weren't shoving, something else in my face. Bags of white powder trying to get me to buy it from them. It was like the craziest thing I ever witnessed in my life. Our hotel bartender, me and my wife sat there and had drinks with him one night. We take the bus into Montego Bay the next day, and who's waiting at the bus for people to get off to give them guided tours? But our bartender, hey, remember last night? Sure, man, what's going on? He goes, let me show you the real Jamaica, not the one the tourists see, but the real Jamaica. Come on. Okay, we didn't know he was charging us. We thought he was our friendly bartender. So he rushes us past all these big monuments and stuff. Oh, this is this and that is that, But come on, let's go. And so we finally wind up in a bar in Jamaica in an alley with all kinds of sleazy things going on outside. And I'm buying all his friends' beer. I'm buying the Red Stripe Jamaican beer for everybody, per his request. And finally he says, hey, I'll be right back. Just keep my boys happy with the beer. Sure. Okay, so I'm sitting in the bar, me and my wife, alone with all his friends, drinking beer. Finally, he comes in and he says, put your hand underneath the table. I stuck my hands underneath there, and he just slaps this big old fat bag of weed in my hand. He goes, give me $40. I mean, hell of a buy, really. But I mean, I looked over at my wife. She looked like she was about to fall over, like she'd seen a ghost. She's afraid we're going to go to jail for having drugs in Jamaica. So I said, no, man, I'm not going to do that, for my wife's benefit. I don't want to get in jail either. So anyway, that's just one of the stories about Jamaica. So every time I heard this song, I Shot the Sheriff, which is one of my favorite songs. Eric Clapton covered it very, very well. But I love Bob Marley too. And I did 2 Bob Marley shows. One of them right before the Opic, biopic came out. And another one prior to that on the night him and his wife and a couple of other people that were with him got shot. So anyway, so I'm really into Bob Marley. But this next one is Bob Marley's I Shot the Sheriff, okay? And Bob Marley's former girlfriend, Esther Anderson, revealed in recent years that the music icon I Shot the Sheriff tune was inspired by birth control pills. Now, did anybody here think that song was about birth control pills?
No.
Okay. The song was against contraception. According to Esther, she was using pills at the time when she was with Bob Marley as a prescription from her doctor. Bob considered such things, taking birth control pills, sacrilegious, condemning the doctor for killing his seed before it grows. Okay, not marijuana, his seed. The line Sheriff John Brown always hated me for what I don't know. Every time I plant a seed, he said, kill it before it growed. Indeed fit the description perfectly. It was about, the fetus. So anyway, I thought that was kind of wild. In a million years, I would have never dreamed that was about birth control.
I always thought that every time I planted seed, he said, kill it before it grows, was sort of like he's trying to kick you out. He won't let you grow roots or something. But
Yeah.
it was
right.
birth control.
Yeah, I know. I had no idea. Okay, anybody got a story they want to throw up? You got another Led Zeppelin story, or James, you got a nice backstory on a song?
Well, yeah, I'm going to go back to Beatles again because I know a lot of that stuff. Just
right.
stick with what I know. Well,
absolutely.
Next one is going to be from Sgt. Pepper again. John Lennon was in some store one day, and he saw this poster on the wall, and he bought it. It was being for the benefit of Mr. Kite, and it was practically writing the whole song right there. So he took all the lyrics that were on this poster, and he wrote the song "Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite" from that poster.
Wow,
that's cool.
And apparently,
that's
Mr.
interesting.
Kite was a real person.
Right. Well, I wanted to mention. I wanted to just answer a question real quick. Jack's Music Corner asked me if I watched a particular show, and I don't think I have watched it. I don't know why. It's just kind of a new one to me. But anyway, maybe I better check that out, especially if you're recommending it.
Well, I have a story about another song. It's not by Zeppelin, but
yeah, go for it. It doesn't matter what it's about.
The David Bowie song "Space Oddity."
Yes.
It has nothing to do with actual going out to space. It's a kind of a biography of someone getting stoned on heroin.
Really?
Yeah. When you're floating in a tin can in a most particular way, it starts off like, and then take off is when they shoots up, and then he's off looking at the sky off in space.
Yeah. Well, I guess I shouldn't act real surprised hearing that, since that's been part of the music scene for as long as I've known it, Yeah, and still is. It still is. That's interesting. So anyway, that was Bob Marley and I Shot the Sheriff about contraception. I think that's pretty crazy. Then we have Van Halen's Jump, and David Lee Roth was in a crowd of people. There was somebody I don't know. It was like 22 stories up or something, like 33 story drop, and he was wanting to jump off and kill himself. There's a big crowd of people shouting, "Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it!" But in Roth's opinion, the guy should have done the opposite and jumped.
Yeah.
There was a fellow standing on top of the Arco Towers in Los Angeles, and he was about to check out early. He was going to do the 33-story drop, and there was a whole crowd of people down there, like I said already, yelling, "Don't do it, don't do it." Okay. So that was interesting. That's where the Van Halen's Jump came from. One of his most famous songs. Okay, James Watson, I'd love Miss Piggy to tell a story. Okay.
Well, there's no Miss Piggy here tonight.
Yeah. Oberheim from Australia. If he comes to Australia again, I'll go and watch. Well, that sounds good. Our own Caitlin Stoddard. Everybody be sure to go check out, if you haven't already, Caitlin's Magical Corner. She has a podcast. She goes twice a week. Sir James here is her co-host, who's with us tonight. And she does a good job. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. She's actually a writer too, and she gets hired to write up concerts and stuff like that and do a review of them for people. And I've read a bunch of them. They're always really entertaining. She really does a good job. Check out Caitlin's Magical Corner. We'd all appreciate that, and she would too. Dr. Rick, wow, Marley's story is new to me. I know, wasn't that crazy? Talking contraceptive. I'm thinking, kill it before it grows. They're talking about weed he's planting, planting seeds for. it just what a shock when you read this stuff. That is an opportunity. Melissa Caitlin started, a woman who had 4 kids before age 19. Can't speak on her experiences. I find that sad. Wow, I must have missed a bunch of that. Okay, God, I'm almost, well, no, I'm not anywhere near caught up. Let me do a few more. Let me do a few more, then we'll catch up on our stories. We saw George leave the Beatles in Peter Jackson's Get Back. He went home and wrote both Wah Wah and Run of the Mill during those days based on his feelings about it all. Well, that's an interesting
that's
story.
true.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Jack's Music Corner. I'm interviewing George on July 20th. So George Borden on July 20th at 2 p.m. PST, right on my channel. Well, we're going to have to check that out. Yeah. Okay. July 20th. In fact, I'm gonna write that down real quick and I'll transfer it to the next month. Okay, so July 20th interview on Jack's Music Corner. Sorry, folks, but I would like to see this. Okay, at 2 p.m. Okay, brother. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit, then we'll jump back into our stories. That is cool, Jack. Yes, it is. Melissa, yeah, Space Oddity is about H. The lyrics are super clear when you listen to it again. Okay, cool. I've got several Bowie albums. I'll have to listen to that closer. It's funny how some of this stuff goes right over your head until you hear the backstories. Thank you for sharing, Eric. Yeah, that was cool. Piccolina the cat, how you doing? How's the kitty? Hello, Royce, Chris, and Lenny. Love these stories. Thank you so much. We're really happy that you're here. Okay, let me go down a little bit further because we won't be back here for a little while. George Harrison wrote Not Guilty about his song being pushed aside by John and Paul, and that was a pretty common occurrence, his songs being pushed aside. He was the young guy when he first came in, and they didn't, John dominated, and then Paul, and his stuff got pushed aside. Okay.
Well,
Over 100 takes that song
just to be able to play
he
him, right?
left it off the white. What's that now? I'm sorry.
Said you were talking about George being young. I said, yeah, they had to sneak him into the bars in the early days just so they could play their gigs.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, because he was the youngest.
Right. Nowadays, everyone would yell jump. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Well, that's sad. Boy, if things change, if that's true. Piccolina the cat. Caitlin Stoddard, our own. Caitlin Stoddard. Oh, Piccolina the cat. Yeah. Yeah, I was on Piccolina the Cat show the other day, and it's fun, guys. Go check out Piccolina the Cat. She has a YouTube show. Check her out. I had fun there. Melissa, once again, Ashes to Ashes. Bowie wrote Ashes to Ashes, Funk to Funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven, high hitting, and all-time low. Oh my God. Thanks for sharing that. Dr. Rick, Caitlin's show is great. It is. And Caitlin, you're quite welcome. Caitlin's show is great. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So let's go back here now. We talked about, the last one was Van Halen's Jump. This one's a little, I know personally Steven Adler, the drummer for Guns N' Roses. When my daughter opened her clothing store, he came up and played drums. Not Alice Cooper, I'm sorry. Ryan Roxy brought his own band up. He's a guitar player for Alice Cooper. And I tell you what, he's one of the most fluid guitar players out there right now. He never ceases to amaze me. Last time I went to see Alice Cooper 2 years ago, I sat on his side where I knew he would be, just to marvel at the fluidity of his guitar playing and how fast his fingers were. So anyway, Ryan Roxy brought his own band up, and Steven Adler showed up and sat in with a couple of the different bands that played at my daughter's grand opening. And it was quite fun, and Ryan, when my son-in-law was putting concerts on at one of the vineyards here, Rava Winery, he had been a member of pretty popular band down in LA that played at one of the clubs, the club owned by Slim Jim Phantom, actually. And Slim Jim came up to every show. Teddy Zigzag, that played keyboards for Guns N' Roses, showed up to, I think, every show. There was a cast of characters, or musicians, not characters, but other characters too, that would show up at that club that Slim Jim Phantom owned, where my son-in-law was playing. They'd all like to sit in, just for fun, right? So you never knew who was going to be there. Eric Dover, who played with Jellyfish and several other bands. I think he was also with Slash's. Let's see, not Snake Pit, but the other one, that more popular one. What was the name of Slash's other band? Velvet Revolver. Yeah, I saw him in concert. I was up front too, and so he played with Velvet Revolver, and he's in some bands now. He's excellent singer and excellent guitar player. He was always there. Ryan Roxy was always there. Then you'd have three infamous drummers. First, Steven Adler, was fired by Guns N' Roses because he couldn't get off drugs. He showed up to every one of them. And then you had Tommy Clufetis, Ozzy Osbourne's current drummer for about the last 15 years. Whether it's Ozzy or Black Sabbath, Tommy was on the road with them, played at every one of their shows. And he's actually godfather to my granddaughter. And so is Eric Singer, Kiss's drummer for about the last 22 years. He's the other godfather to my granddaughter, and he was at every single show. So you had Tommy Clufetis, who reminds me of John Bonham, the way he attacks. Eric Singer, who's a total class drummer, just an awesome drummer. And Steven Adler. All three would show up to every single show. And there was all kinds of just people that showed up that just wanted to be part of it, that were friends with everybody, Who did we have there? We had people like Sebastian Bach, formerly from Skid Row, and now Skid Row's, I guess he didn't own the name, the other band members did, so he's just touring as Sebastian Bach, playing the Skid Row stuff. He got up there and did kind of a Skid Row concert for us one night. Did 4 or 5 songs. That was fun. But it was like that. Every one of those shows were like that. It was just an amazing amount of fun to go there. One real surprise for me one night was Rick Springfield. I never really paid that much attention to him, but what an entertaining, talented guy. He got up there and he'd play a few songs and then start telling stories like we try to do here once in a while. And I tell you what, I came out of there a fan of his. It was so much fun. And they had all kinds of shows there. Just all of them were fun. So Guns N' Roses is where this whole conversation started. And there was a song called Rocket Queen, okay? And, Steven Adler, the drummer, had been screwing around on his girlfriend. So she was going to do the, revenge thing to him by having sex with somebody else herself. So Axl Rose had sex with Steven Adler's girlfriend in the recording booth.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in the recording booth. Yep. And that one night, apparently GNR drummer Steven Adler was fooling around a bit at the time, making his girlfriend just go crazy. So she thought she'd, like I said, do the revenge thing and bang the bandmate. So anyway, the whole thing got recorded. She got more than she asked for. Axl Rose got her to have sex with him in the recording booth with a wide awake sound engineer recording everything. Yeah. Wow. I guess that relationship must have ended, right? I mean, so.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so that's pretty crazy stuff right there. So he says if you check out 235 in the clip, you can hear her talking, in the background on the song. Anyway, so Radiohead's
Angela.
Creep. Oh, Angela's here.
Yeah.
Hello,
Oh God, I'm so far away. I've got a whole line of people down here. Deep Purple, the Casino. Yeah. I'm getting to that. We're not going to look at that any longer. Royce in the house, Kate and I were talking about Loretta Lynn being banned in country for her songs about birth control. And oh man, that's crazy. Gosh, my, are things changing? It seems like things are starting to change back to where they were, I mean, it's a different world out there right now. I always thought Purple Haze was about kissing a guy. I never thought that, but I didn't know the story was inspired by a waitress kidnapping one of her patrons after she drugged him with LSD in his coffee. I've heard those lyrics about Bowie is just being cute. Yeah, I know. You just Melissa, Dr. Rick. I don't think either he or Iggy Pop found it cute, drying out in Germany, but coming back worse off. Wow. Paul McCartney originally wrote, well, she was just 17, if you know what I mean. She was no beauty queen, but John supplied the line, you know what I mean, to make it edgier. It was a reference to the statutory rape age. Oh my God, you Beatles, you scoundrels, all them young girls idolizing you. Oberman, We Do What We're Told by Peter Gabriel is about the studies on how far people are willing to go if ordered by official figures to perform acts that go against their own moral judgment. Well, that's interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that, Oberheim. That's awesome. Eric Schultz, their adventures in Germany were nothing else. These mop tops weren't as innocent as we all believe.
No, they were not.
No, no. The 70s were rough. Yes, they were. The late 60s and early 70s were rough. Then I got married and was a much better boy after that. Yes, it's true, Melissa Moon. I keep on pressing the space bar when trying to write your official name. Okay, let's see. Paul McCartney originally wrote, well, she was just 17. She was no beauty queen. Okay. We read that. Statutory rape, yeah. I must have got messed up here. Okay, let me go down. You know, I just can't get caught up. I was trying to catch up with Angela, and I'm still okay. Angela, hi. Thanks for showing up. I just wanted to say, I've been wanting to talk to you and tell you how sorry I was when I heard about your mother. It broke my heart. I lost mine not that long ago. She lived with us for 5 years, and because she couldn't, really take care of her things anymore, so she came and lived with us. And my wife Betty was her main caregiver because I had to go to work every day. But anyway, it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And yeah, so I'm very sorry, Angela. Wish they'd replace them. Okay, so all right, I'll never catch up with the chat. What do we have next? Okay, Chris, do you have a story you want to tell?
This one might be known. The story behind Fairies Wear Boots.
Okay, I don't actually know it.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's about drugs and whatever, but apparently they were on the road at some restaurant, and there was a bunch of skinheads beating up on Ozzy, and so the rest of the band went out and saved them. But they were saying that because they had to gang up on him, they were calling them fairies in boots. A bunch, so that's supposedly what the song is about. I've heard a couple different versions of that same story, so I assume it might be true.
Well, I'm 100% convinced it's true because I'm reading a book about Black Sabbath right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I might even do a little mini series of pre-recorded, 10 or 12-minute things, and part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 about the forming of Black Sabbath. I've been thinking about doing that because there's some just great, incredible stories in there. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, imagine Geezer Butler, the bass player, going on the road with only 2 strings on his bass because he couldn't afford strings, in an old beat-up van of Tony Iommi's that barely ran with a great big hole cut in the metal floor. One night they picked up a couple of girls hitchhiking. One of them, her leg went through the hole and cut her leg up, on the jagged metal. They demanded to get out, so they just pulled over and let them out. What are you going to do? They went out. But anyway, the whole thing was just a total shit show, the forming of Led Zeppelin. But there's some interesting stories in there. I mean, they're all interesting, to be honest with you. I mean, even Iommi hated Ozzy. He knew him from high school and couldn't stand him, because he thought this guy was such a total freak, But yeah, there's some crazy stuff. Thank you, Royce. It was a little sooner than expected. I'm sorry. Sorry, Angela. Yeah, I feel for you. Great story, Chris. It was a great story, Chris. Thank you. Thanks, Kate. God bless Caitlin and Melissa with complete recoveries. I hope that you both will soon be up and around. Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. Geezer Butler is super talented. Yes, he is super talented. Absolutely. Well, he was the main lyricist. He wrote,
Yeah.
he wrote most of the songs, actually. Very talented. Gary Spring.
Well, you're finishing that up. You know the story behind Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight?
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah, it's not about somebody actually drowning. It's
Okay.
about his first marriage was a super contentious marriage.
I
And
see.
it was all about him
Hey, Dusty.
finally getting a divorce. And she was cheating on him. He goes, I've seen you before, so you don't, just so it's all about his divorce from his first wife.
Ah.
Wow. Wow.
The
Interesting.
pain still grows, It's it all. I never knew that, and then I heard about it, and yeah, it's all about his divorce with his first wife.
Wow. Let's all say that's great. Let's all say hi to Dusty Spins.
Hello, Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty's in the house.
Dusty in the house. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting how the simplest thing occurs. Yeah, that's wild. Hey, Dusty. Stronger. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about next is Radiohead and the song Creep. Okay. So Radiohead frontman Thom Yorke, if I'm saying it correctly, was really into this one girl that was going to the school he was going to. And he was so shy going all the way back to childhood, he couldn't actually go over and get near her and say anything to her. So he would just kind of stalk her, follow her around the school, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So he followed the girl around, admiring her from a distance, somewhat of a creepy manner, actually, as the story goes. And he one night the band was performing on a Friday. Well, and the band wasn't named Radiohead at the time, but it was renamed Radiohead. Radiohead was performing on a Friday night, and the girl suddenly showed up at the gig. Okay, leaving the young musician speechless.
Wow.
The tune ultimately became the number one hit, but was, however, successfully sued for plagiarism due to the striking similarities to the Hollies song "The Air That I Breathe." Okay, so that I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm a creep. I didn't realize it was about a guy stalking a girl in kind of a creepy way because he was so shy and couldn't go up and say anything to her. Beatles 66, a revolutionary year, makes a case for it being about acid. Yeah, got to get you into my life is
But
about
I
pop.
actually heard Paul McCartney say in an interview that it was actually about the joys of smoking marijuana. But you would
Okay.
never know from the lyrics. You would think it's a love song about that he's in love with a girl and everything, but you would never know it's about smoking marijuana.
I know that's what's crazy about these backstories, you know. Uh, I'm always surprised every time I find some. So anyway, I have another one. Megadeth song. Let's see, a tout le monde, if I'm saying that correctly. Kind of a French thing, you know. The hell knows if I'm saying that correctly. Safe and sound, David. Hey, how you doing, man? That big drum off riff in the middle of the air tonight was anger letting loose. Wow. Hey, good to see you. I'm gonna put a link up, and if you'd like to join us, I think you know already. You're always welcome. You don't even need an invitation. Just show up. But yeah, if you'd like to join us, there's a link. We're just talking about the backstories of famous rock songs. You know how they came about, and yeah, they never cease to amaze me, these backstories. That's why I like them so much. Where's Michael Nolan, Dr. Rick? I wish I knew. Something tells me he's really busy editing shows and stuff. Michael puts out a huge amount of content. He's got new stuff out every single day. And you know, it's sometimes it's hard to fit shows in. Michael, I consider Michael a permanent co-host, but he can't always make it. And sometimes it's, you know, people aren't feeling well too. I've had to cancel a few shows for that reason. and other things as well. Anyway, we have a link up. Let's see. Join the panel, David. Join the panel. Yeah, please join the panel, David. We love having you on. The
What
Music
about you, Kate?
Sanctuary.
Get up here too. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've got some Alice Cooper stories to tell us.
Oh, you know she's got some Alice Cooper story. That's
I want
that's
to hear
Alice
them.
Cooper. That's Alice Cooper's #1 fan right there.
Oh
We've
yeah,
been joined by Melissa, Boomer of the Night.
Melissa.
Are you
Hey,
okay?
I'm
Melissa.
sorry. Sometimes I come up here like this, and I'm so sorry to you and your audience, but I'm just wrecked by the end of the night. So sorry about
No,
that.
no worries. How you feeling?
I'm okay. Fine.
Oh,
Thank you.
good.
You know,
Okay.
this has been years ago, but I finally got off the hard drugs that the doctors got me hooked on. And that's what I was talking about in the comments. Is that
Okay.
no, it really is. The doctors get you hooked on a lot of that stuff. Okay, I have two
Oh
really.
no, absolutely. I broke my wrist on a construction job, and they put like about a 12-inch stainless steel thing, 4 screws in my hand, 4 in my wrist, and left it in there for a couple of months, and then cut me open right next to the old scar to take it out.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you something. The first thing they asked me every time I went, they'd give me a little thing saying, circle the amount of pain you're receiving, 5 being the most pain. They were just trying to, every time, I'm not exaggerating. It's like they were trying to shove this stuff down my throat.
Oh yes.
They're not waiting for me to tell them I'm in pain and I need something. I mean, they were just like pushing it on me.
Oh, my
And
doctor kept saying, you have multiple sclerosis. You're going to need this forever. Here's a Dilaudid patch. Here's a fentanyl patch. Here are 10 more oxys. Mhm.
well, just so everyone knows, I absolutely hate those prescription pain pills. I hate the way they make me feel. I hate the way they make my body function. I hate everything about them. And in fact, when I had my hernia operation, about maybe 6 or 7 months ago, of course, same old thing. You get home with a vial full of pills. I would say that 2/3 of those pills are still in the vial in my safe. The minute I feel like I don't need them, I'm done. I just hate that stuff.
Yeah.
Now there was a time. No. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's see.
But,
Eric.
okay, I have 2 quick ones, and then I'll
Okay.
leave you. I'll be okay. So
No. Go ahead. Yeah.
someone saved my life tonight. If you listen to the lyrics to that,
Elton John.
yes, go
Yes.
back and listen to the lyrics, knowing that Sugar Bear was the nickname for Long John Baldry, who was one of Elton John's very closest friends before he passed, and that was his nickname, was Sugar Bear. And if you listen to those lyrics, I've got a video up about it on my channel, but if you listen to those lyrics, it's so heartbreaking. So Bernie Taupin and Long John Baldry had actually found Elton during the time he was engaged to, and I can't remember her name, but it's up on my video. But he was engaged, and he just wanted to be engaged to this fake socialite. And
Okay.
she always wanted this whole fake socialite life. And he was like, no, I'm going to roll around and party on the floor with my friends. And that's literally the lyric. And they were kind of beer drinking. And Elton had a bulimia problem where he would drink until he vomited. He would eat and drink until he vomited his stuff up. He didn't want to be overweight. But anyway, one night, Elton was found by Bernie and Long John Baldry. And he was trying to take his life. He had tied a noose around his neck. So if you listen if you listen to the lyrics of Someone Saved My Life Tonight, that's what it's literally about. And then the other one,
Okay.
I did this analysis as well. It was, it's about the song, oh my gosh, why can't I think? By Steely Dan. Okay, well, anyway, he partied with the Showtime Lakers, Donald Fagen mostly, but Walter Becker kind of did. And they did a couple songs about that hard drug we were talking about. I don't want to keep saying it over and over, so H is what I say. But they started, Walter Becker was the addict, but they did do the soda as well with those guys. And that was when Magic Johnson contracted AIDS.
No.
Are you talking about the song "Reeling in the Years"?
No, I have it up on my channel. It's one of my favorite songs. Time. It's this time of night, my brain, because I do have MS, so my brain will just go boonk. But I can hear it a billion times. It'll be one of my favorite songs by a band, and I'll just go, it's called a brain fade, literally. But no, it's, anyway, whatever. But and I've had 2 channels with a ton of content. So even though I've made a video about it, it'll just be like, whoops. But they wrote
Great stories. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
But the show
Well,
they did a song called Showtime, and it was about partying with the Showtime Lakers
okay.
during the era that they were called the Showtime Lakers, and that was the
Oh yeah, no, they were always. It was always Showtime with the Lakers. Yeah,
yeah. And so during that,
I love the Lakers. I saw the first game Kobe Bryant ever played with them, straight out of high school. Yeah, it was crazy.
one of our
But-
friends, their daughter was on the same team as Cubby's daughter,
Hmm.
and so she really lost a good friend when she passed.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
was terrible. I don't know what's wrong with people. I mean, I'm a private pilot. I don't fly
thank
anymore,
you,
but
thank
I
you. Time out of mind, time out of mind. That's the song. Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
Sorry, no, I haven't.
but you don't just take off in the fog. I don't care if you're instrument rated. You know,
Right.
it's one thing if you're an airline pilot, you have to leave. You're on a timeline, and
Okay, no, my husband's a
but
pilot, and he was so upset over that accident. He was,
yeah, I mean, I'm a pilot too. I
yeah,
have my
okay.
pilot's license.
That's what he did as for a living, though. My husband, we had government contracts to
Oh,
do
okay,
oil. Yeah, we did
okay.
oil, the leak checks, to
Oh yeah,
fly.
yeah, yeah. No, a friend of mine owned Air Patrol, and they were doing all of the all those lines had to be, for environmental reasons. All those pipelines
Yes,
had
we
to be
did
flown
pipeline
every
patrol.
every freaking day. They didn't want to know 3 weeks after it was leaking out in the middle of nowhere. They want to know the day it's leaking. Okay.
Oh yeah,
And my friend he was actually my flying instructor, got killed breaking in a new pilot to fly.
yeah.
So somebody in a Burt Rutan, home built airplane just flew into him over a golf course and killed him.
And
Fiery crash onto the golf course. I gotta say
like, sorry,
something
don't.
here.
Mhm.
My good friend Robbie Detroit's vinyl or Tiger Man vinyl is here. And Robbie and I go back, along with Caitlin and a bunch of the others, to an old show that we all went to together, had fun together at. But Robbie's got Robbie Detroit's vinyl or Tiger Man vinyl. Robbie's father worked for Elvis, and Robbie's got his dad's collection of Elvis. And so he's got an entertaining show if you want to go check out Robbie, man. Robbie's a good dude. We're really good friends.
And
He's a great
before I go,
great
can I
guy.
ask you a question? Have any of you? I want to sub to that channel. Have any of you guys really gotten into Paul Butterfield Blues Band?
I used to listen to
Little
him
bit.
as a teenager. I'd listen to him. They're a great band. I love the blues.
Man, I'm more of a Stax and Tulsa person, so I'm just now making my way into the Chicago blues thing. And I've been watching so much, and I've just been like, it's a little faster and more jazz influence than I'm used to, but I've been like, just getting so into it.
Oh yeah, no, they were great, and you know what? They kind of get overlooked because there was so many great bands at the time.
Yeah.
But they were a great band. Well, I'm going to tell a little story next about Megadeth's Dave Mustaine, and a conversation. The song is about a conversation with his deceased mother. Okay, and the song is "A Tout Le Monde," and often Oh, I didn't know you were leaving. Okay, often misinterpreted as a suicide song. Megadeth's classic ballad, A Tout Le Monde, was inspired by frontman Dave Mustaine's dream in which he had a conversation with his late mother. And I think we've all had dreams like that, okay? Dave gave a direct explanation of the song, saying, A Tout Le Monde is based on a dream I had where my mother came back from heaven to say, I love you. It's about me talking to her again. So
Hmm.
anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting, just because who wouldn't want to talk to your mother or father again? My father left me at 56 years old. I thought that was old when I was so much younger, but now I look back and
Yeah.
I've flown past that a long time ago. Hey, we got brother Jeff Davidson. How you
Hey,
doing,
Jeff.
man? Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I know you've had some health things lately. I think broken leg bones and stuff. And please tell me you're healing great. I'd love to hear that. And Melissa, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. You had some great stories, and you really helped make this a good show. Thank you. Okay. The Beatles, Why Don't We Do It in the Road, was about two monkeys in India. I would have never guessed that. It's not hard to imagine. I've seen these crazy monkeys out there. Caitlin's like typing or something. Melissa, I'm trying to find your YouTube channel, but somehow I can't find it. Though I have seen a video of yours. It is kind of hard to find. You almost have to, I mean, click on her right here on the show. Go up to her icon and click on it, and then maybe you can stay hooked up that way. Robbie Detroit's vinyl. Hi, Chris. Jeff Davidson. I'm still recovering, but I have one of the boots all down, so one of my legs is healed. God, that's great, man.
Yeah, good to hear
Yeah,
that.
you heal quickly. That's awesome. Okay, Caitlin Stoddard, you can drop by my link if Roy says it. Yes, always, Melissa, always. I'm okay with your link being put up. Anybody's on the show, I'm okay with their link being put up. So, okay, we're going to talk next about a backstory that has to do with James Hetfield, Metallica singer. Okay, and okay, so, and the song is Nothing Else Matters. And here's the backstory. While talking with his girlfriend on the phone, Metallica's most well-known song, power ballad, Nothing Else Matters, was spontaneously written, by the frontman, James Hetfield, while he was talking to his girlfriend on the phone.
Wow.
I mean, wow. As James himself revealed, he was simply, simply plucking the open strings while chatting, just to realize he might have stumbled upon something. Okay, so that's where that song came from. Talking to his girlfriend on the phone, expressing, the lyrics were being dedicated to Het's girlfriend, expressing the bond they shared while James was out on the road. I hear more and more stories, of things, like the story I just told about the Rolling Stones making of Wild Horses. Keith Richards wrote that song because he was brokenhearted having to leave his young son and go on the road. He was really bummed, saying Wild Horses couldn't drag me away. He wanted to stay and be home with his son. And anyway, then Mick got a hold of it and started trying to make it about a relationship he had. That was problematic. But anyway, we won't go there. But there's a lot of stories about people being on the road. A lot of songs get written by people that are on the road because of what they're dealing with. When I click on her name, it just brings up report block. Okay, Melissa, Boomer of the Night. Okay. Yeah, no, I understand what you're dealing with, Eric. Like I said, maybe if you could scroll up in the chat and just click on her icon, I think that would get you there. When I type it in, I have a hard time getting there. I have to go find it another way myself. I don't know if you were aware of that, Melissa, but I have to find. Okay, here it is. Eric, can you see that? I've got it up on the screen right now. And of course, it's right below Jeff Davidson's last comment in the chat.
Yep.
Robbie's dad, Jeff Davidson says Robbie's dad was Elvis's best friend. That's exactly right.
Wow. Right. Well, you're looking at the story behind the song "I Did It My Way" from Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
He was recording, and he was a song short for the album he had to do. And Paul Anka, he's a prolific songwriter. He wrote tons of songs for all the people back in that day.
Okay.
Well, he happened to be there, and Frank, who called him, "Hey, kid," through him, he said, "Hey, I need a song. Write me one right now." And so he wrote up a song in a matter of an hour or so, gave it to him. Frank said, "This is the dumbest song I've ever seen in my life." Recorded it and ended up becoming one of his biggest hits.
Isn't that crazy? I've heard other stories like that. The rest of the band doesn't like them. One of them, I think, the guy went out and did it like as a solo artist, and it was a way bigger hit than the album the band he was in was working on.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, well, I want to talk now about Nirvana's song "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I thought this was, I think, the funniest story. I thought, okay, it was inspired by Kurt Cobain's ex-girlfriend, and her outrage so it's involving graffiti and perfume. Okay, so the description above might seem a bit weird, but this is how it is. Before he got involved with Courtney Love, late Nirvana frontman, Kurt Cobain, was in a relationship with a band called Bikini Kill. Bikini Kill's drummer, Toby Vale, okay, who had subsequently broke up with him. And anyhow, Toby used to wear a deodorant called Team Spirit.
Hmm.
And the band's singer, Kathleen Hanna, used to talk about Kurt having Toby's scent on her, okay, which resulted in a peculiar graffiti that was written on Cobain was renting a place. She came in, just thrashed the place, and took a marker and was writing stuff all over. And since her bandmate told her, smells like Teen Spirit, the perfume she used was Team Spirit. On the wall, it says, Kurt smells like Team Spirit. And that's where that song, Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit, that's where that song came from. Smells Like Teen Spirit was graffiti that was written on Kurt's walls by his ex-girlfriend. I thought that was pretty crazy, okay? 6 months later, Kurt phoned Kathleen to ask her if he could use some of the wall scribbles as song lyrics. And she thought to herself, I thought, how's he going to use Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit as a lyric? That became their biggest song. I actually loved that video too. I thought that video was such a trip. I really enjoyed watching it. Back in the MTV days, can't find anything there now.
A quickie about this Led Zeppelin song, Trampled Underfoot.
Okay.
I was supposedly in response to Highway Star from Deep Purple, which neither song is about actual cars, as we all know. So,
right. Oh, yeah.
So,
no,
because Machine Head came out, about 73, and Zeppelin was starting to record stuff for Physical Graffiti not long after that.
Yeah. Great. That's a good story.
I heard behind that one.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. I've got one here about, you already, I think, told the story. Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple. Kind of song that doesn't really need an introduction. We all know that. It's like every young kid that picks up a guitar is one of the first riffs he tries to learn. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so that's the first thing you try to learn when you pick up a guitar. Also, it has a crazy story behind it, though. Okay, which to be fair, okay, you wouldn't know if you listened to the lyrics. On December 4th, 1971, Deep Purple was in Montreux, Switzerland. Okay, it was a sound. They were in a sound truck rented from the Stones. They rented the sound truck from the Rolling Stones. Okay, and let me see, where am I here? Okay, rented from the Rolling. Okay, that night Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention were playing at the Montreux Casino. Toward the end of the gig, some moron fired a flare gun up into the air, went up there, hit the ceiling. The wooden ceiling, and caught the whole damn building on fire. Okay, so everybody had to haul ass out of there, including all the members of Deep Purple. So, and this was a wooden roof in the casino that caught on fire. So they were watching a layer of smoke from across the lake after they retreated to a new spot, Lake Geneva, and hence the song "Smoke on the Water."
Nice.
Came from that place that burned down. Some idiot fired a flare gun at it. So anyway, anybody else got a story or? Go ahead.
I found the audio to that actual night. The concert itself, somebody was recording it.
Okay.
When Frank Zappa was on stage.
Gotcha.
And the song he was singing had the line "fire" in it.
Okay.
So when people started yelling "fire," they thought it was the song.
Oh, you're kidding me.
On the audio, you could hear.
Oh my God.
Somebody speaking French standing next to some of the amps, and you could hear the amps popping and all this stuff. You could hear the fire in the background and people screaming, and But
Wow.
up until that point, it had the full concert, great audio sounding and everything. But
Wow.
and then
Yeah,
that
I'm really learning to like Zappa. I haven't been a big fan most of my life. I mean, I've listened to some Zappa and stuff like that. Groovy Lisa's joined us. How you doing, Groovy
Hello,
Lisa? Good to see
Lisa.
you. Is in the house. Yes, she is. So is Robbie Detroit. Phil Collins in the air tonight had an interesting story attached to it. Wow, I wish you could pop on and tell it to us. Let me know if you want to. Groovy Lisa. Hi, Melissa. Melissa's becoming very popular here. James Watson. Paul McCartney on his way to John's house to write songs, talking to his driver. Paul, been busy, driver? Yeah, been working 8 days a week.
Hmm.
That is a great story, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so what I want to talk about next is, I mean, who didn't see this video 100 times on MTV back in the day? Michael Jackson's Billie Jean's Not My Lover. Okay, Billie Jean's might be one of Michael Jackson's most beloved songs, but the story behind it is terrifying. Okay, it's like Jackson had been receiving letters from a woman who claimed that he was the father of her child. The letter writer was relentless, constantly, proclaiming her love for Michael Jackson, while trying to convince him that, convince him to start a life with her. So she eventually sent him a package with a gun in it and some other things. And she said, "Listen, here's your gun. I've got a gun. Let's both kill ourselves, and let's kill the child. We can all be together in another life." And that inspired Jackson to work through the horror he felt and write a song that addressed the woman directly. I never knew that. I thought it was just, I don't know, some kind of spoofy kind of song, just a made up song. I didn't know that there was something that, did you guys know there was something like that behind that song?
yes,
You did? Okay. Okay. You know what? I may have heard something back in the day. John Wayne, The Searchers. Well, I keep coming across really interesting stories about John Wayne. I already made a short video about why John Lennon hated John Wayne.
Paulina.
Oh, Paulina's here. Awesome. I thought
Okay.
Ringo said 8 days a week, a hard day's night, and tomorrow never knows. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Robbie Detroit's vinyl. Hi, Eric. Groovy Lisa. Jeff Davidson. I never tire of Billie Jean. You know what? That was a really catchy damn song, wasn't it? It really, and I wasn't like, I think that was kind of when a lot of us that never paid attention to Michael Jackson, because we were listening to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath when he was singing ABC 1, 2, 3, and it's like get out of here, kid. But
fun fact about
I learned
Thriller.
to. Pardon me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. It doesn't matter.
It's a fun fact about the Thriller album is that
Okay.
Eddie Van Halen played guitar.
He played guitar.
Really?
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, let's see. What song did Slash play guitar on for Michael Jackson? And that basically created a rift between Slash and Axl Rose, him playing for Michael Jackson. Because Axl claimed that he was molested by his father. I don't know who would make up a story like that. And so just because Michael was being accused of molesting little
Children.
boys, he kind of, Axl just kind of went crazy, seeing Slash over there playing with him.
Yeah.
Paul tells the 8 days a week story all the time. Okay. Thank you, James, for some clarification. John Lennon hated John Wayne. Yes, he did, because he kind of, the roles he played, he kind of glorified guns and violence. And, John Lennon was a man of peace. Peace. Give peace a chance. Forget about the guns and violence. Beat It. Yeah, Beat It was a big tune. Okay, Groovy Lisa says, "Hi, Kate." James Watson says, "Black and White." I like that song, Black and
I
White.
think that's
Paul
Yeah.
McCartney and Michael Jackson. Or was that? Well, I know the girl is mine was Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. I don't know. Dirty Diana, I think was a song. Dirty Diana, I think that was a song Slash was on for Michael Jackson. Thank you, Angela. Angela just knows so much.
Mm.
Movie Idol, Ode to Billy Joe. Movie Ode to Billy Joe. I don't know. Or Eddie Van Halen played Beat It. Okay.
He played on the whole album, but yeah.
Okay. Black or White, give it to me. Okay, so we're going to move on here. Okay, so what was I going to talk about? Aerosmith, Dude Looks Like a Lady. Okay. That has a backstory, believe it or not. Imagine that.
I always think of Mrs. Doubtfire when I hear that song.
Yes, automatically.
Okay, so songwriter Desmond Child was brought in to help them write. The band wasn't particularly welcoming towards the outside writer, except for singer Steven Tyler. Tyler showed Child a song he was writing called "Cruisin' for the Ladies." Cruising for the Ladies. And Child told him he wasn't a fan of the title. Okay. It was then that Tyler explained that the original title had been Dude Looks Like a Lady, and that it came from an experience he had while sitting in a bar. The singer looked over at what he thought was a girl with large blonde hair, only to discover it was actually a man. Okay. Okay. And the singer that looked over and thought it was a lady happened to be none other than Vince Neil from Motley Crue.
Oh, boy.
So the band started chanting, "That dude looks like a lady," to mock Neil, and a song was born. Child said that Neil later found out about the song and appreciated the humor in it. He had a good laugh. He knows that, Child said in an interview. I thought that was funny. Of all people, Vince Neil. Paulina. Mike Campbell originally wrote The Boys of Summer for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but Tom rejected it. So the popularity came to work with. Okay, so the opportunity came to work with Don Henley, and he loved it. Tom later on regretted it. I can imagine that. I can imagine regretting it. Somebody else picks it up and it's a big song. The song came from the film of Ode, but the writer didn't subscribe to the film's interpretation. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's backstories, and then there's backstories of the backstories. Slash played on "Give In to Me" on "Dangerous," not on "Dirty Diana." Thank you, Oberheim. Wow, we got some people here that really know their shit. Sean McCall, hey, brother, how you doing? What kind of bar was he hanging out at? Now, I don't really know that. I don't know what kind of bar he was hanging out at. Let's see. Sitting. I have no idea. I'm sure that's somewhere out there, Sean. Thank you for asking. I have come to do some honeydews. You guys are great. Thanks again. Peace and love. Smash the like button. Thank you, Melissa. Yes.
Absolutely.
I just want to say to everybody that there's a like button or a thumbs up, call it what you'd like. And that's such an important thing to do for any podcast that you're on, or any kind of a show that you're on YouTube, because that lets the algorithm know people like the show. And when people start searching for content, if you have enough thumbs up, your show gets presented to them, or one of your shows gets presented to them to watch. And there may be several presented to them, and they choose the one they want, or the 2 or 3 that they want. But you at least get that extra opportunity to reach somebody that could ultimately start coming to the show. They could subscribe to your channel, start enjoy the chat, whatever they want to do. But without enough likes, your show kind of fizzles earlier. It's hard to get 50 likes, but if you get 50 likes relatively soon, your show kind of blows up. It just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And that leads to more likes, and it just keeps going. I had a recent show that's close to 40,000 views. It can't be more than 3 to 4 weeks old. And it has hundreds of likes, and that all plays into it. And it's brought me something like 130 or 40 subscribers that one show. When you look at your analytics, it lets you know all that stuff, you know. So it's important to get those likes. They really do matter. They really do build a show. And subscribing, of course, really builds the show. The more subscribers you get, it just starts to feed on itself and the show continues growing. So I've really appreciated all my new subscribers, you know, and new and old, don't get me wrong. We also have a membership if anybody wants to join. It's another way to support the show for as little as I think $1.99 a month. Anyway, I know not everybody's crazy about doing that, but we're going to start having at some point some member only videos there and things like that. I want to start doing that actually real soon. So anyway, thanks folks, and let's keep on moving down the line here. Evening, Rock and Royce. Hey Dan, good to see you, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for showing up. We really appreciate it. We've been covering all these fun backstories that about famous rock and roll songs and how they came about. We've covered a bunch of them. I don't know how much of it you've seen so far. Steve Stevens from Billy Idol played on Dirty Diana. Okay. But anyway, Dan, it's good to see you here, buddy. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of shows out there, you know. I mean, there's other shows going on right now that are popular. So you just never know. You know, people start watching a show, they like it, they stay there for a while, then they discover something else and want to change a pace. But we really appreciate everybody that comes back. We really do. That means a lot. So anyway, okay, I just covered Aerosmith's "Dude Looks Like a Lady." How could we not do a show about the backstories without including the Kinks' "Lola"? L-O-L-A, Lola.
Right.
Okay, so
Jerry
so
just
let's see.
mentioned that in chat.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. The Kinks' hit Lola was written about the band's manager who went to a club one night, and began dancing with someone he thought was a woman. Sounds a little bit like the Aerosmith story, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, I imagine that's happened to a lot of people. Okay. Lola was a love song, and the person they fell in love with was a transvestite. Okay. It's not their fault. They didn't know. But you know, it's not going to last. It was based on a story about my manager, singer Ray Davies said of the song. So anyway, so somebody fell in love with the transvestite, not knowing because she looked beautiful. And that's what happened there. Okay, how about the Beatles' Hey Jude? Okay, Paul McCartney wrote Hey Jude after learning of his bandmate John Lennon getting a divorce from his wife Cynthia. So he started writing that song. He told Rolling Stone, and he was like, "Hey Jules," you know, for Jules Lennon, Julian Lennon. They called him Jules. And I thought a better name was Jude, a bit more country and western for me. The opening lines were a hopeful message for Julian. Come on, man, your parents got divorced. You know you're not happy, but you'll be okay. Julian's father ended up loving the song, John Lennon, of course, though he famously interpreted it as being about his relationship with his then new girlfriend, Yoko Ono. And I don't have anything to say about that. He's saying, "Hey Jude, hey John." Subconsciously, he was saying, "Go ahead, leave me," Lennon said later. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting story. There's a lot to be said about Jules kind of getting passed over, you know, with John's inheritance and stuff like that. He actually wound up suing Yoko Ono because everything was going to be going to his brother that came from Yoko, right? So he was just being passed over. He was like nobody, and he didn't really have a relationship with his father after John got together with Yoko either. John didn't seem to have a lot of interest. Now that's a sad story to me, but in the end, Yoko settled for millions of dollars. Just wanted to put it behind her because she already got plenty of criticism. And what do they got? $1 billion? Like they can't share some with the son, So anyway, they did. So the last one that I have is Eric Clapton's song "Layla." Okay, and he wrote the song for Derek and the Dominoes, the hit "Layla." He was directing the words towards George Harrison's wife. Clapton was trying to win Patty Harrison over. Now George and George Harrison and Eric Clapton were actually very good friends. But George screwed around a lot. I mean, he was a Beatle. Women threw themselves at him, and
Well, yeah.
and if it hadn't been for that, Eric would have never been hitting on his wife and trying to take his wife. Okay, I can almost guarantee you that. I mean, they did each other favors. When the Cream was breaking up, each member was tasked with coming up with writing a song, and Eric turned to George Harrison, and George helped him. So George asked Eric to return the favor. He was trying to write a song, and he needed a slide guitar player and stuff. So George came over and worked with him on "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." Let me see. Do I have that story correctly, or am I really messing it up badly? Actually, the song Eric Clapton helped George Harrison write was. I'm sorry. Let me start over again. I thought I was
Okay.
messing it up.
You
before.
had it right the first time.
I had it right the
Yeah.
first time, but the song that that George Harrison helped Eric write for Cream was "Badge," and it was actually "Bridge." And they were sitting there and they were going back and forth trying to come up with lyrics. And Ringo was drunk on his ass, and they were stuck somewhere in the lyrics. And Ringo said, "A girl that she looks like Mabel," or something like that. And they would go, "Good line," and they wrote it in. And then previously they were making fun about how easy it was for them to write hit songs, right? And so they kept going, and Ringo would shout something out, a drunken Ringo, and they would write it down. Finally, Ringo came over. "Oh, I see you got a name already, Badge." Well, he was looking at it upside down. The name of the song was "Bridge." So they liked Badge better, so they named the song Badge, and it wound up being a number one hit. So anyway, a little distraction there from what I wanted to say about Layla and Patty Harrison, or Patty Boyd. So he's trying to win her over, and so when the lyrics goes, "What'll you do when things get lonely?" was meant as a question for Miss Harrison. And generally, Clapton wrote the song after reading a 12th century story called "The Story of Layla and Majnun," which was about a father who marries his daughter off to a man who wasn't her true love, driving her true love insane. And that was the last of my backstories for this show. And actually, we've gone on close to an hour and a half. So
Hey, Royce,
I think yeah, go ahead.
can I add something to what you were just talking about?
Yes, please
That,
do, since I was screwing it up so bad there for a minute.
The title of the album, Derek and the Dominoes,
Yes.
is because Clapton was still kind of being sly about who he wanted to be. Like Layla was Patty.
Right.
Derek and the Dominoes was Eric Clapton and the Dominoes, but he didn't want to use his name.
Right. It was actually trying to hide a little bit in that song, in that whole album. Actually, it turned out to be one of the greatest albums of all time. I've got that, and I love it. It's so many of my favorite Clapton songs, and even favorite songs of all time are on that.
Right.
Yeah, Clapton never stops impressing me, with his work.
You know the story behind the song "Rooster" from Alice in Chains?
No.
It's I forget which member. I'm blanking on that, but I think it might be Jerry Cantrell's father in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was well, the song basically says he ended up being taken prisoner and whatever, but he wrote the song about his dad, the Rooster. He survived all the stuff that happened to him in Vietnam.
Wow, that's interesting. I think I heard something about that some time back, but I didn't actually remember what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, Chris and Sir James, I want to thank you guys for helping me out here tonight.
My pleasure.
And of course, Melissa also, who came on and joined us for a while, had some great stories. We appreciate you, Melissa. And the chat was on fire. Oh, my God. I mean, Eric and James, you guys were just absolutely on fire with your stories and stuff like that. And I really like it when the chat participates like that. It just makes it so much more fun. So we're going to sign off, folks. We've been going now for almost an hour and a half. It's a little bit before 8. We started at 6:30. So
well, it's a little
thank
before
everybody.
midnight for me.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here and really appreciate the chat, appreciate the co-hosts, and that's what's going on in Royce's world today. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Good night,
Hey,
everybody.
Thank you, Royce, for having me.